cognitive bias is the other thing that I wanted to touch on because I was sort of scraping through this, and it's a notion that I've come across many times when it comes to beliefs and your belief system and what, I mean, how can I put this? So I had this business coach, right? It was like 10, 12 years ago. We'd done several retreats with this guy. It's fucking brilliant. And, he's talking about your beliefs, your decisions, and your results. And it kind of stems up that way. It's like kind of like your gut, your heart, your brain, whatever. You hold beliefs true. Like, I don't know. I believe that places in the Caribbean are beautiful. The beaches are amazing. Weather's, fantastic. Food, if you go to the right place, is great. Don't go to Cuba. You get the idea, right? But I mean, like, you hold these beliefs, and then it's like, okay, well, it's cold out. It's winter. I don't like Canada in the wintertime. I need a break from this bullshit. I want to go somewhere warm. So now I start making decisions. Okay, well, where do I want to go? I know this area. I know this area. I know this resort. Oh, I have a friend down there. He's got an Airbnb. Maybe I'll book his place, sort of thing. Right. And then you go, and then you have the results. And the results are, the experience that you would have out of the beliefs that you hold true and the decisions that you make and where you go. And, the experiences and the stories and the photographs and the memories that you make from all that. It's the same thing with anything else. It's the same thing with relationships. It's the same thing with money. It's the same thing with entrepreneurship. It's the same thing with your job. It's always belief, choices, results. Okay. Nobody tells you what their beliefs are, but you can always tell what their beliefs are by looking at the results. If they have shit results, all I have to do, like, I play this game with my kid, and I've said this, many times, right? Whenever we're at the grocery store and I see somebody that is visually unhealthy, okay, you put it on whatever side of the spectrum you want, but visually you can tell they're in a sick, inflamed, overweight body. And you take a look at what's on the conveyor belt that they're about to check out on. And then I take a look at what's in my buggy, because I'm always up next, right? And what we look like. And I tell my kid, I go, I want you to take a look at that and what's on the conveyor belt. And you tell me what the difference is between those two things and what's in our buggy and what we look like, right? These are the sort of things, that I'm talking about. Beliefs, choices, results. I walked through the same grocery store that he or she did with the buggy down the same aisles. And I put different things in mine that they did. They got the frozen microwave dinners. They got the fucking candies. They got the packages and packages of chips, the pops, the sugary drinks, all that shit, right? I got produce. I got meat. Boom, right? I got all the good shit, right? There's a reason why you get the results that you get. There's a reason why you're broke. There's a reason why you have shit friends. There's a reason why you have crappy relationships. There's a reason why your girlfriend, your wife, your gal, whoever you're dating is disagreeable, bossy, fat, whatever, like whatever it is that's, on your case that's bothering you. It's because you believe that certain things are passable. Oh, it's okay. It's tolerable. I need to accept those things. It's totally fine. Fine. Have fun with your results. Have fun with your shit results. You want to make those choices? Have fun with those shit results. Let's go back to this cognitive bias thing over here. Systematic. So definition is a systematic error in thinking that occurs when people are processing and interpreting information in the world around them and affects decisions and judgments that they make. Okay, blah, blah, blah. It's going to go on. So this is one of these breakdowns that they're trying to dumb down to like a grade 8 level, written by a medically reviewed person with a bunch of little letters after the name. So let's say the degrees up there. Signs of cognitive bias. Everyone exhibits a cognitive bias. It might be easier to spot in others, but it's important to know that it is something that also affects your thinking. Some signs you might be influenced by some type of cognitive bias include, okay, so these are some of the signs. Only paying attention to news stories that confirm your opinion. So very true. It doesn't matter where you are on the political spectrum, whether you're conservative, whether you're liberal, whether you're libertarian, whether you're a Democrat, Republican. Every country's got their own name for it. It's just another shade of bullshit. Okay. You're going to pay attention to those news stories that say, go get the beer bug jab, lock yourself down. Money is bad. It is a root of all evil. dye your hair purple, eat shitty food, protest for dumb things. You get the idea. It's like a collectivism, blaming outside factors when things don't go your way. We talked about MGTOW, which sort of, moves into like a black pill movement, which is a very nihilistic, negative sort of view. And this is one of the things that a lot of, the guys that sort of, throw in the towel and pack it in, and they're just like, things aren't going my way, outside factors, women are impossible. I'm not good looking enough. My skin's the wrong color. I'm not tall enough. I don't have enough hair, whatever, blah, 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 sort of bullshit. So you start blaming outside factors and you're not looking within yourself. Cognitive biases, right? Attributing other people's success to luck, but taking personal credit for your own accomplishments. That's a good point. Assuming that everyone else shares your opinions or beliefs. And the last one on this list is learning a little about a topic and then assuming you know all there is to know about it. I'll tell you guys right now, I don't know shit about shit, and I'm a lot older than I was when I started thinking that I knew shit about shit. The deeper I go down the rabbit hole and see things for, like, they goosed me when it came to the beer bug shit, right? The whole scamdemic thing. There was a good month, maybe month and a half. I was like, Mom, Dad, don't go shopping. I'll get your groceries and drop them off. Everything, like, we'll figure this out. Sort of like, there was a time where they had me for a month, maybe a month and a half, maybe a month, let's say. And then I started looking at shit, and it's like, you start to examine. You're like, okay, there's a lot more to know here. There's a lot more to figure out, right? Weird shit goes on out there all the time. Like, I saw this earlier today. They created a vaccine like in months, less than a year. I don't know what the timetable was. Let's call it like 6 to 9 months. It seemed like they created a vaccine very, very quickly, authorized it, put it on the public, but they can't solve cancer, right? Like, that's not solvable. You fucking vaccine stop a pandemic. You can do that like that, lickety split, right? So you start asking questions about these things when you examine. A lot of these guys that get unplugged and they see things for the way they are, like they hear a sound bite like, she's not yours, it's just your turn. That just summarizes that women aren't very good at being monogamous to the first guy that they're intimate with. That's reality. Are all women like that? No, absolutely not. But that's in their DNA. That's in their nature. There's a lot of factors that vary around that. Does she have options? Is she good looking enough to move? Is the guy a complete loser? Does he chase excellence? There's a lot of factors that go around that, right? So you just can't make, one call, one job, like assumption based on a little bit of information. I still learn more every single day, guys. Like, I'm always reading, I'm watching videos, I'm consuming books. I mean, I'm usually doing about 2 books a month. I used to do book reviews. Funny thing was, is some people would watch them, most people wouldn't. I'm like, why am I talking about it if people aren't going to pay attention to it? Fuck it. I'll just read the books and, I'll share information as it's relevant to topics that I'm talking about. Anyway, types of cognitive biases, anchoring, attentional. There's a lot of different types that they break down here, which is a dozen, which is a fucking lot. I'm going to skip that. Causes of cognitive bias. If you had to think about every possible option when making a decision, it would take a lot of time to make even the simplest choice because of the sheer complexity of the world around you and the amount of information in the environment. It is necessary sometimes to rely on some mental shortcuts that allow you to act quickly. Fair enough. I mean, fight or flight, the old lizard brain that, dominates, oh shit, it's going to kill me. I better run away from it. Cognitive biases can be caused by a number of different things, but it's these mental shortcuts known as heuristics that often play a major contributing role. It's kind of accurate. They can be surprisingly active, but also lead to errors in thinking. Other factors that contribute to these biases are emotions, individual motivations, limits to the mind's ability to process information, and social pressures. One of the things that I learned, what was it? Sapiens? I think it was Sapiens. Today's hot drink is a mix of coconut Thai, chicken broth, and beef broth. Really good. Ups my protein intake. It's about 15 grams in that glass. It tastes really good. Anyway, back to social pressures and stuff like that. Noah Yuval Harari wrote the book Sapiens. Don't like him as a person. He's a dipshit. He works very closely with what's his name? Klaus Schwab. But I think a lot of the observations that he published, and they seem to be well received, is that the reason why humans exist on such a large scale today around the world is because of gossip, is what it boils down to. They all, like, we all agree on a lot of commonalities. Like, for example, I don't have my wallet here. But let's say I had like a $20 bill in my hand, like a USD $20 greenback. Boom. If I were to show this to just about anyone anywhere on the planet, they would all agree that is worth $20. There's probably a handful of people, maybe some Amazon tribe in the middle of the jungle that has no need for money. They don't use monetary paper or anything like that. They've probably never seen it. They might wipe their ass with it. Okay. But the vast majority of society would all agree that's worth $20. That $20 you can take to any store, pretty much anywhere in the world, and it would be exchanged for goods or services in equivalent value to $20. These social pressures are everywhere. That's why everybody still agrees that the USD is still the dominant currency, which we're going to see change, right? Like, dominant currencies in the past have moved from commodity goods, straw, hay, milk, steel, aluminum, gold, silver, paper money, Bitcoin. There's a lot less adoption on cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin than there is with USD, even though the USD is basically shit and will go away one day. I can guarantee that. Maybe my lifetime, maybe not. But at some point, it's going to be shit. Social pressures push people to believe these things, and they go and chase more of it. But they won't do things like exchange a USD for same equivalent value of Bitcoin. Is, oh, it's too volatile. I don't understand how it works. Doesn't make any sense. Educate yourself. Look at things, right? Social pressures can be very powerful, extremely powerful. Gossip is extremely powerful. I mean, what, 78%, I think, of the global population fell for the scamdemic and took the experimental jab because they said that, it was going to solve the problem. Some people were coerced, basically under duress. If you don't do it, we're going to fire you. But the vast majority of the world fell for it, right? It was only a small portion of the people that actually asked questions and said, hold on a second, let me think about that one. Really? You guys made this fucking solution in 6 to 8 months? Why don't we have a solution for cancer? You can move that fast. Anyway, tips for overcoming bias. Being aware of the bias, consider how the bias might influence your thinking. And one study research provided feedback information that helped participants understand these biases and how they influence decisions. The results of the study indicate this type of training could effectively reduce. You know what I found interesting once? I came across this study. They did it in, I think it was in a dental office in a waiting room. And everybody in the dental office in the waiting room was essentially paid actors. And, coffee table, magazines, TV on the wall, running the news channel, reception desk, gal behind the desk, file folders on the wall, like an actual dental studio. And there was one person there who didn't know what was going on, who was, basically scheduling in for a dental appointment and thought they were going to see a dentist. And what they did was they had this beep, very loud beep that would go off. I think it was on time schedule. Let's say it was like every 3 to 5 minutes. Let's say it's every 3 minutes. It would go beep. And then everybody would stop looking at their phone, reading their magazine, watching the TV. And instead of sitting there, they would stand up and wait 10 seconds, and then they would sit down. This new, individual that was placed in the room to see what they would do, sat there and watched them do it once, watched them do it a second time. And then in the third time, she got up and sat down with them. Fourth time, got up and sat down with them. It doesn't take human beings long to follow, what the rest of the sheep do. Okay, we're herd animals. We are. That's how we've populated the world. That's how we've accomplished so much. That's how we create cities. That's how we create roadworks and sewage systems and all this shit. That's what we are, right? So having some awareness around the bias makes sense. The problem, though, is that, when you talk about like comforting lies versus the uncomfortable truth, just be yourself, be a nice guy, all that shit. And then you start seeing things like, well, I was a nice guy. I was a shoulder that she cried on, but she went off and fucked Mr. Exciting. the bad boy with the tattoos on a motorcycle, right? Like, if you've watched enough of my stuff, or if you follow me on social media, like one of the things that I pop on social media often, even mostly on Twitter, is I get these like trending stories, and it's like there's always the guy, once every couple of weeks, he's like, I don't understand. I was such a nice guy, and I was a shoulder for her to cry on when her boyfriend was treating her like shit, and we were out for a date, and then she got a text message from him, and she just left. She made an excuse and she left, and then she went and banged him, and I don't understand why that is, because I'm a really nice guy, and I think that I deserve, a great gal. I'm a swell dude, and it's like, well, keep believing the comforting lies then. I really hope you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full-length podcast, you can find that over here, that clip's from. If you're newer to the channel, make sure you hit subscribe over here, and pin down below in the top comment, you'll find a bunch of useful links to my website, my supplement line, books, and a bunch of other stuff. Have an amazing day. Peace out.